We have some actual games to react to and a big coaching swerve. The latest on today's Locked On Bucks.
You are Locked On Bucks, your daily Milwaukee Bucks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Bucks. I'm Justin Garcia, joined as always by Camille Davis. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The biggest stage in world soccer is here, and let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now. Coming up today, we had two games to react to, really one, in the California Classic. There has been an undertone of questions, concerns, comments about one of the players on the California Classic roster that we have yet to see. I think that question has been answered, so we'll get into that. A player goes, at least for now, and it was a fan favorite. And as we mentioned at the top of the show, too, a coaching swerve for Taylor Jenkins' staff. So where shall we begin, Camille, with the actual games themselves, the California Classic Saturday, Sunday games? I watched both of the games.
Mm-hmm.
Apologies that you and I were not live tweeting the California Classic games. The second one, if you stuck through it, congrats to you, especially when you saw the starting five of, oh, yeah, it's a back-to-back. I guess we're going to do this. But if we stick to Saturday's game, my takeaways were pretty simple, and I think we're aligned as we were talking through the weekend. Bogi,
yeah,
a lot to like there. Of like, all right, I need to see some improvement. You didn't look like you belonged last year, so let's see a step forward. We saw that. Obviously, everybody's salivating over the bounce pass to the dunker spot.
Yeah.
Marcus Johnson even tweeting like, "Hey, I've seen a couple of possessions, and I know he's going to be a good one." There was a lot to like about his game offensively. On the other end of the floor, it was, oh, yeah, I think we're going to have some problems there, that it's going to be pretty critical to have the right defenders around him. But you know what? This is like a lottery ticket that we're cashing in. So if you tell me Bogi, as we learned as well, he wants to go by Bogi, Bogi becomes a plus offensive player, great. I think we've really got something there.
Absolutely, because he does have a good feel for the game. Like, that's what stood out to me more than anything else during his time in that very first game in the California Classic, which was just the offensive feel is there for him. I also just love to see the aggressiveness that he had, in the sense that he wanted the ball. If he felt he was open, you saw the hand going up immediately. He was communicating with his teammates. He was trying to get that extra pass through. And trying to, he just seemed like he processed the game pretty quickly, especially to be a big man. So those are always little signs that I love to see, especially how the league has continued to transition with your big men kind of operating more as offensive hubs at times, and just being able to have that as a lever you pull, I think is really, really helpful. So the three ball wasn't really falling for him, but I did love to see him on the cuts, on the rolls, the passing feel that he had. It just makes me more excited to see more of him playing. Now, you did mention the defense leaves something to be desired still, but I do think that when you have a feel for the game like he does offensively, that although he might not we don't know what he's going to end up being, period, at this point, but on the defensive side of the ball, I do think that personnel around him will be really, really important. But I also do think that going into the system, which we are yet to see what it looks like in full, there could be some interesting ways that you could utilize him with his speed that he does have as a big man. So a lot to like from his first debut Summer League appearance this year, even though it's the California Classic. I just ultimately wanted to see if he looked more ready than what he did last year in Vegas. And in a one-game sample size, which is very small, in an environment that you can only take so much from, at the very least, I can look at him and say, like, his game has grown from what we saw last year.
What? And like we both kind of, I don't know if I'd say diminished, but it mentioned it's the California Classic. Like, it's not like you're playing inferior teams. It's just you're not playing every single team. Like the Salt Lake City Summer League is kind of the same way of like, all right, this is more of a tune-up. Vegas Summer League is the actual, here's where we see every team and you're thrown into the mix. The last thing on Bogi, does he have to be a 3? ideally? Do you think because of what we mentioned defensively? Like, the physicality is one thing because he certainly has added bulk, but there's a couple of times when you just saw if you get him in space where he's the last one between you and the rim, he's not a rim protector, and that's where he's going to run into some issues there.
I mentioned I like his foot speed, but that's for a big.
Yeah, for a big, right.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily sure he has the foot speed to keep up with wings at the 3. I do think he's a 4, but he would be someone who just require a guy that can really lock in defensively, which, hey, Kel'el Ware, gonna need that in those combinations with the two of them on the floor, and need it from him on a consistent basis, which when we break down the Miami Heat guys that should be official today, actually, that's going to be one thing for Kel'el Ware where it's like, it's going to be a big swing piece for him. It's just the consistency he can play with, because the idea of what he could do defensively next to somebody like Bogi, that makes some sense of like, hey, can I kind of overcome that? Especially if you have some dogs at the point of attack defensively, you can figure out ways to kind of counteract the Bogi problem, at least in the regular season, assuming that defensively there is a problem there. Again, very small sample size, but looks like he will need that extra help there defensively.
Yeah, and I mean, Kel'el Ware is an interesting one too, because the advanced numbers, his block rate wasn't like elite, but it's not bad. Mm-hmm. His rebounding rate was pretty good with Miami last year, especially, and didn't really foul a whole lot. So I know from the onset, I have been a little more skeptical of Kel'el Ware than you and others, but like I've said, I hope I'm proven wrong. Yeah. And I think he's going to have the runway to do it this year too, with different expectations. So there's just, in watching this, a lot of pieces that you can really like. We didn't even see Kasparas Giannakis yet in the flesh. We certainly haven't seen either of the two rookies. We only saw one game of Bogi. To wrap up the California Classic first 2 games, the other guy that turned a lot of heads, and, looking at game 1, my thought was, let's calm down here, guys. It's the California Classic. Of course, he's going to look good and put up some numbers here and show you some nice things. Maybe he did it again. And you just watch how he does it and think, yeah, he's an NBA player. I don't know where in terms of the pecking order of 1 through 15 on the roster. I would still say it's probably like 10, 11, 12, somewhere in that range. But BJ Boston continues to show you some things. And it is, just as we went through last summer with the makeup of the roster and Amir Coffey signing too, like, oh, here's this. Oh, but wait, now we got to figure out a way to get him onto the roster. It's even more difficult this season, assuming there's no massive trades made, which I do want to circle back to this later in the show. So a lot has to happen for BJ Boston to carve out a spot on this roster. But you know what? Watching how he scores and gets into the paint and his movement, this is a guy that has certainly grown from his first stint in the NBA to playing overseas. Was it the Adriatic League? Wherever it was that he played last year. This is an NBA player. So if it's not the Bucks, I have no doubt somebody else at worst will make him a 2-way player on their team this year.
Yeah, and that's the joy of like the summer league experience, where there are going to be some guys who might have fallen out the league and they're coming back of like, hey, I still deserve to be in this league. It might not be for the team I'm playing with in summer league, but like, y'all can all see this tape. You can see what I can bring to the table. Boston, especially during that second game where a lot of the other guys I was really interested in.
It was just Boston.
It was really the Boston show in game 2. But I also want to shout out to Rafael Castro, because I thought, especially in the first game, like, the defense that he has, it really, really, like, you could see it. I think he had like 3-4 steals in the very first game.
Yeah.
And just a strong body. So like that as a 2-way signing for the Bucks, he's going to be someone I'm curious to see how he continues to develop during the season as well.
So the last game of the California Classic for the Bucks tonight against the Kings, and that is a late night tip, 9:00. The one nice thing, too, about Summer League this year, Camille, every single game in all of these is broadcast either on ESPN and or on Prime. So you get to see long gone are the days of, it's NBA TV or is this one televised? Like we can see every single one of these. So tonight, our last chance to see these guys in the California Classic. Some thoughts on who we haven't seen yet and why, and whether or not we see those guys, and some more roster shuffling done by the Bucks. We will get into those conversations, as it was a very eventful 4th of July weekend for this Bucks team, coming up after this. But first, we talk to you about our friends at FanDuel. The biggest stage in world soccer is here, and every match feels like it has the potential for a memorable moment. One goal completely changes the energy of a game. It shifts momentum and alters the outcome in an instant. That's what makes tournament soccer so exciting, from the opening whistle to the final kick. And now FanDuel is giving fans another reason to stay locked into every match with every goal pays. Bet on a match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. No more goals means more bonus bets. More goals means more bonus bets. All you have to do is turn on your token. And we talked about tournament soccer, the appeal to it, why we love these tournaments so much. You turn on a match between teams and countries you don't follow. You don't know who the players are, but suddenly you're sucked in when you see the drama of these close matches. One goal changes everything. Don't even get us started on the PKs and how that builds the tension and gets you invested like never before. From opening whistle to the final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now. So the other shuffles here. So Brayden Burries officially signs his contract with the Bucks late last night, I think, this morning. That is why he was not playing in the first 2 games. There was a lot of fretting over did Brayden Burries get injured? Why isn't Brayden Burries playing? That's why. We talked about last week. I think we mentioned, I don't know what his status is with the contract and if he signs it yet. And then obviously Nate Amen is not officially a member of the team until the trade becomes official today. I would assume Nate Amen is not playing tonight. And I would guess Brayden Burries also does not play tonight and just plays in the Vegas Summer League games. So Brayden Burry signs his deal. He is wearing number 0, which we've gotten into that discourse, and we still wait on that news. And Nate Amen, now we just wait for the league to make the trade official. I don't know if Miami is holding a press conference today, but Boston is. And that is going to be very fascinating with Bill Chisholm and Brad Stevens talking about the Jaylen Brown trade. But the one thing, and I don't recall if you and I were talking about this, I know we haven't addressed it on the show. I've talked about it with a few others off the air. Do you find it odd we still haven't gotten any type of messaging from Giannis Antetokounmpo?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and I was like, I wonder if he's also waiting for things to be finalized before he actually says something. But you see guys often.
Jaylen Brown has his new teammates on his stream and is talking about other players have talked about and tweeted about. I believe. Exactly. I mean, even players coming to Milwaukee have addressed it. Yeah. So I don't want to make too much of it, but I am paying attention to that.
I think it might even be more. So remember when Chris Middleton got traded and we didn't really hear anything from Chris for a little bit, where it's I kind of need to process.
A total shock to me.
Yeah, a shock. Giannis knew it was coming, but just the moment to process.
How far you want to go down the road? Not only knew it was coming, orchestrated a lot of this.
Well, hey, as we know.
I just want to say, let's monitor this, because seeing a lot of partnership posts in the last couple of days, but I haven't seen any, even a picture of you and your family by the mural, Milwaukee, thanks for the memories. I'll never forget 2021 and you welcoming me to your community and all of that.
I think it's coming.
We're going to get it, but it's starting to get stranger by the day.
Yeah, I think it's coming. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt on that one of just needing a little bit of time to process this, figure things out, put together the post.
Year and a half.
Put together the post, but I think it's coming. I mean, I did see that he commented on a post about how fans were leaving things at the mural and saying I miss you, and I'm not dead, guys. I'm still around. So we know he knows. It's just I think he's going to do it on his own time.
The other comings and goings, Pete Nance was released or not. His contract was not guaranteed. So I don't think it shuts the door on Pete Nance remaining with the team. We got to wait and see how the rest of it plays out, just like we talked about with BJ Boston. If there are other moves that the Bucks could make, and I look, there is one thing I said we'll circle back to it that is tying up all of this right now. Everything, like just about every team, because of the ripple effects, and that is LeBron James. Until we know what happens with LeBron, I think there's a lot of teams that are waiting, that are trying to say, okay, we got to wait to see, even if you're not in on LeBron, and if you weren't on Rich Paul's whiteboard of teams, even if you're not one of those teams, we got to wait to see the ripple effects of like, okay, LeBron is coming here, so here's going to be, or these are going to be the moves that follow. And like, LeBron wants this guy to come over. LeBron wants this to happen. What does that mean for guys like Kyle Kuzma and Miles Turner and potentially like an AJ Green, of the ripple effects of trades that could take place once LeBron finds his landing spot, I think is what's holding up a lot of this. I think it's certainly what's holding up what's going to happen with Peyton Watson, maybe even with Jalen Duren. So once that happens, I think it's just going to be like a levee breaking. And, oh, wow, here comes this, this, and this. And all these trades are starting to take place. So I kind of feel like that's where we're at with these Bucks guys, how their roster is currently going to look, any trades. Like, I don't think the Bucks are just going to sit on their hands and say, we're good. We can use our trade exception during the season to absorb a contract. We can do the same with a mid-level. I think they're going to try to use at least one of those this summer here. I think they're going to make at least one more move, a trade probably. But we got to wait to see what the bigger things are that take place first.
I just want to say, the fact that LeBron is 41, turning 42 years old this year, and can still completely stop a market. You know what I mean? Where it's like, we have to see what he's going to do, because it's going to affect anything, like everything else. It's crazy. Like, this is, even if you hate LeBron, because I know there are a lot of people who don't like LeBron, but like, man, when you got players like this is a generational, like one of the greatest players of all time, to be 41 and be able to stop up that's crazy.
Second greatest player of my lifetime.
Like, crazy to me. Chris Middleton's first, right? Oh, wait, that's just my book. I was going to go with Brian Skinner as one of the OG truthers back in the day on Brian Skinner, both stints with the Bucks. But no, I think that's impressive. But I also, too, just to double back to like Bucks roster decisions and decisions that have to be made, we should also mention the fact that they're going to have some decisions to make on the coaching side as well. Because one of the biggest surprises for me ahead of the California Classic was looking through rosters and things of the sort and being, okay, no Nate Ament here. Okay, Kasparis, he's not official yet. All right, whatever. But then I looked at the Dallas Mavericks and I saw their coach was Joe Boylan. And I was like, wait, are Joe Boylan? And then come to find out, Mark Stein did report that Boylan's actually going to be joining the Mavericks and joining Dusty May's staff down there instead of coming to Milwaukee with Taylor Jenkins, as was initially said. So that is a loss, I think, for the player development, just what he's able to bring to the table with his CLA approach. But the Bucks are going to be looking for some other bodies to help fill up that coaching staff now.
Were you initially like, are there multiple Joe Boylans? Just like
definitely
the Joe Boylan discourse?
I was like, did I get the name wrong? Like, is it someone else? Is it someone else?
And I would assume too I haven't seen, so I shouldn't make that assumption, but my first guess would be too, just looking at the staff, like it's probably front row, second row, sitting closer to the coach in Dallas than he would be here, because obviously Darvin is the lead assistant, Pat St. Andrews too, who's coaching summer league. So I would assume that factored into it. And you have a guy like Cooper Flagg that you get a chance to work with, but disappointing nonetheless. I want to wrap up the Pete Nance thing, and then one other piece of business for the Bucks in terms of contract movement that we'll get into coming up after this.
But first, a word from our friends over at Odoo, because running a business should not feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never actually designed to work together. One app for accounting, another app for inventory, another app for sales, but somehow none of them actually talk to each other. And that's where Odoo comes in, because Odoo is the all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focused on the growing business instead of managing software. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working toward the same goal. And that's true in sports, just like it is in business. You can tell when looking at how the Bucks are trying to build things now that this isn't a reactionary move. The organization has a new vision. They're trying to stick to it. And now we're going to see what this first season of results looks like with everyone working from the very same playbook of, hey, it's time for a new era. So we'll see how it works out for the Bucks. But for your businesses, Odoo can help you make sure that you knock it out the park, because great organizations win because operations matter. And that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/locked on. That's ODOO.com/locked on.
All right, so we'll wait and see what happens with Pete Nance. If you can create some roster spots, I think he's certainly a player that is worth keeping around, especially with the price. And what we've seen from him for the last year, not even year and a half, year and 2 months, basically, and the growth that's there, his basketball IQ, and again, just seeing him in a different system and playing with younger players that are playing a different style. Like I know his playing time with Giannis was limited, but this was a Bucks team. The difference from last year and the last handful of years to this year, I think, is going to be staggering in terms of the offensive sets that they run and their off-ball movement and those types of things, because there isn't that gravitational pull of Giannis. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because when you have those guys, that's how you play, and that's how you need to play, more ISO ball and things of that nature. But you don't have it this year. That I think it's going to be much more free-flowing and a lot of movement, which fits Pete Nance. So, yeah, if you can carve out some spots, I think they revisit it, and he is a player worth bringing back into the fold for a multi-year deal, for a 1+1, a 2+1 for just around the vet minimum. To go back to the California Classic too, and we talked about BJ Boston and the one game of Bogi, but the one game, and we saw it at the NBA level, the one game of Cormac Ryan.
Yeah.
And don't make me pick who's my favorite son here, Camille, but I just love what he brings on the floor, the tenacity that he plays with. He just plays with so much toughness.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said it a handful of times, and I think the one thing that distinguishes he and AJ Green is a better shooter. Cormac Ryan does more. And I think that's the one thing that AJ has to continue to work at. And why I said, too, like, I don't know what to expect from this offseason for the Bucks, but names like when Frank and I did the exercise of top 3 guys that you would list to be traded, I had AJ Green on the list because of, he's actually older than you would think relative to playing time. He has an elite skill set of shooting that's going to help a lot of teams, especially contending teams that need that shooter and that spacing. And it's a team-friendly deal for the years, and $10 million roughly per year. Like, that's nothing in this era of the NBA. So if you can get an asset for him, I would explore that, especially knowing, like, Cormac Ryan, not that he's a bad shooter, AJ Green is a better shooter, but I just think he checks off a lot more boxes, and there's a lot more putty to mold with Cormac Ryan, I believe.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference too is Cormac isn't afraid to put the ball on the ground and do something with it. Like, that's the hugest
has
thing
to develop. Yes.
Yep. So this is, I think, a really pivotal season or off season for AJ Green and his development of what he's adding to his game, because there were certain things he flashed at times last year. Like, when I thought about AJ Green, like going into last season, my thought of AJ Green was catch and shooter. Like that's pretty much it, is what I was thinking of his game. And during last season, you saw from him at times where the passing was a little bit sharper, or like, I didn't expect him to see that or be able to make that pass at the same time. He did a little bit more like off the dribble 3-point shot creation than I've seen from him in the past before. So like to see like last season, he was adding to his game. So my question was like this season, this summer, I'm sure he's talked to the coaching staff about what they're looking for in his game as well. But if he can continue to add the ability to put the ball on the ground and continue adding to the off the dribble creation for those shots, is going to be really, really big for him, because the man is a real 3-point sniper. And that is a talent that you do want to have on your roster. The hope is that more can come along with it outside of just that. So if the Bucks got an offer that they felt like, hey, this is going to be good for us, and it also clears up some of the guard logjam that we have on our roster, go for it. But otherwise, I am curious to see what this year of AJ Green looks like and what else he's been able to add to his game, because things needed to be added and need to be added to his game for him to continue to take that next step as an NBA player.
Yeah, I mean, and look, we've said it with other guys too, that this coaching staff is what you would point to and say, like, I believe they are going to be able to extract more and develop these pieces. So like the same applies to AJ Green too. Like Taylor Jenkins and his guys are no dummies. They know that. Like, hey, we understand this is elite. You've got to add this, this, and this. Because if teams realize, oh, he's just the guy that's only going to sit there and shoot, like it changes how we defend you, especially if there's no wrecking ball in the paint in Giannis anymore. So these are the next steps that we need you to take. But to me, the bigger thing is just like, Cormac Ryan's an NBA player. We saw it at the NBA level, whether or not it was, down the stretch of teams weren't playing and forgettable games for the Bucks last year is one thing, but we saw him do it at the NBA level, and you continue to see these flashes everywhere else that he plays. So I'm quite confident in that. You've got Cormac on a 2-way deal, and now you have Cam Jones on a 2-way deal, which, like, again, these are exactly the type of swings to make. He was a second-round pick a year ago. Just never really worked out in Indiana. Then part of that trade to Chicago and waived by the Bulls. So I still think Cam Jones, NBA talent. The jump shot evaded him last year, but there is talent there. And these are the types of guys that you look at and say, I think we can get something from him. So kudos to the front office to scoop up a local product in terms of his days at Marquette and say, 2-way contract. Let's see if you can develop into a bench point guard for us.
Ring out of Hoya. Shout out to the Marquette alums in the league. I love that Cam is on the 2-way spot. But I also I had a conversation with a friend, and they were like, why are they another guard? Like, don't the Bucks already have enough guards? And I think for the 2-way spots in particular, that should be more about just trying to find the best player you think is available and putting them in your system. Not necessarily doing it of like, okay, well, we need some more wings or we need a big, so let's go out and get one of those right now for this one spot. It's just find the guy who you think is going to be able to be an NBA player. Find someone you're intrigued by, put them in your system, and see what happens coming out of that. So I love that Cam Jones is getting that opportunity.
Breaking news.
Right. Getting that opportunity. So yeah, I'm definitely here for that one.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't agree more on your point of the 2 ways. And honestly, I think the Bucks are there, period, right now, which we've talked about before, is like, just get talent and figure it out later. There is no longer a Giannis and Chris and Drew or Giannis and Dame that we got to figure out, like, well, who does this guy slot in here or there? Like, just bring talent in through the door and figure out what stays and figure out the overflow problems if they are to exist later on down the road. Tonight, final game of the California Classic, and then it is Thursday, right, that the Vegas Summer League schedule starts for the Bucks.
Yeah. And you saw who the Bucks' first Summer League or Vegas Summer League games against, right?
I did.
Of course, the Miami Heat, first Summer League game. You think Giannis is going to be courtside?
I wonder if there's Giannis and Bam sitting courtside. Wonder if there's any storylines to go over there. Really quickly too, did you see Kyle Kuzma's comments? About the TLDR post that he had? I think there's a lot of truth to it, and I've seen a lot of actuallys with like, well, Boston isn't doing this to get cheap now. Like, they're not saving any money. Like, I don't think that's necessarily what Kuz is arguing. Like, Boston is doing it to get cheaper down the road, and a lot of teams are starting to do that. There have been I don't think there's this many exactly in the league, but 30 teams, 15 players per roster, 450 guys.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how many free agents have changed teams this summer?
Ooh, I would think it's pretty low. Maybe like 10, somewhere in there.
25. So 6% of your rosters have overturned by free agency. Free agency's been dead for a while. It's all through trades that happens now. But there is some validity to this on Kuz's point in that, and I forget where I saw it, but somebody else pointed out, another league executive, like, look, it's getting to be in a spot that I don't want it to be in. Like, we're starting to feel like baseball, where it's just everybody plays this shift, and you got 5 players playing on this side of the field, and suddenly those bloop singles are gone, and this is gone, and it's all home runs and walks. Like, are we really moving to that where, like, oh, well, this guy doesn't do this well, and we don't want mid-range shots, so it's just dunks and threes that we are getting to? Is not going to be aesthetically pleasing, and it takes out a lot of our work and a lot of our jobs. It's going to eliminate a lot of player jobs, at least in terms of the money for guys that they're going to have to decide, do I want to take that? Do I want to take the mid-level? Do I want to take the veteran minimum? And Kuz is going to be in that spot next year, which is why I think he was one of the players to put words to that. And knowing I'm an expiring contract, I am probably, if the right deal comes along, going to be traded within season, or maybe I'm combined with something else. And then once my deal is up, whoever trades for me isn't trading for me to extend me. They're trading for me to get some cap relief. Yep. And then I'm looking at like minimum contracts or a biannual or something like that, because of where the league has gone, that the middle class is effectively dead. Like, I do think that part is true. And I do think it's worth noting that we've seen a handful of players now beyond Kuz say, I think we kind of screwed up the negotiations last time in the CBA with some of this stuff.
Yeah, and the part of it that I really looked to and was like, I agree to, is that the NBA doesn't necessarily have a hard cap, but they have a hard cap. Like, it's a soft hard cap, if that makes sense, where it's like teams aren't trying to go above those aprons. They're trying to duck below it. So, like, even though you could spend over it if you wanted to, it's just so restrictive to your team building to live in that area where teams do not want to do that. So effectively, there is like a hard cap operating around in the NBA right now. So, it's interesting seeing how the players are slowly starting to see the changes coming to effect and how it's affecting them. And I will be curious to see what the next round of negotiations looks like with the players and the league when they sit back down at the table.
Yeah. Going to start to get interesting for all those guys that are on 1 year and 2 year deals. So we'll wait and see. In the meantime, if there is a Miami press conference today or some type of announcement. And I got to tell you, Camille, as we wrap here, I am eagerly looking forward to this Boston press conference with Brad Stevens and Bill Chisholm later today to go over the Jaylen Brown trade.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I'm just looking forward to the Giannis trade going official and seeing if any other teams did, loop in other trades or how that might look, because it seems like it's kind of been quiet on the front of like this trade is expanding. So I am curious to see if it remains just Miami and Milwaukee or if it does expand in some other way.
We'll leave your thoughts on the first 2 games of Summer League, the California Classic, your expectations for Summer League itself. And now we just wait and see the official release on the trade, and we wait to see the reaction and message from Giannis and his camp. That'll do it for today. As a reminder to everybody tuning in here, there's no off season. And the guys over at Locked On NBA have you covered every single day. For your second listen, make sure you find that Locked On NBA podcast. Wes, Matt, and Hayes keep you up to date on contract negotiations, rumors, everything you need to be the most informed NBA fan. Find Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. That does it for today. For Camille, I'm Justin. We'll talk with you once again tomorrow on Locked On Bucks.